scroll down, you're going to see a green foot. It says project. That is the project we want you to play with today. So
no, I wanted to start with the tutorial.
well, you get up here and do it.
Well, I don't know where Greenfoot is on the computer.
This will open up Greenfoot.
Oh, okay.
But it'll just be with the...
Okay.
And this is a good thing for us to see. I would actually pick that middle guy, the x86 with a 34 at the end.
So what happens is Greenfoot uses Java, and you have to tell it which one of the Javas you have.
This is going to open up Greenfoot, and you can actually
Choose the tutorial.
choose the tutorial. Oops, I didn't click.
We'll minimize the bridge for a moment.
Okay.
Okay. This project is readable. Yeah, the tutorial. Okay, so we've got a preview of what Greeps are, and they're going to be a lot more exciting than wombats. And I don't really know why somebody who did a thesis in southern Denmark ended up doing something with an Australian marsupial. But he did. Okay. So we're going into the tutorial. Something that you may have happened is it will actually open the tutorial on the website so you can follow along. But I've done this before. So, is everybody there? Background?
I should sit in the back and look.
You should.
You don't even have your computer on. Oh, there.
Okay. So what we've done is we've opened Greenfoot, we've set up the SDK, we've set up the tutorial. There are a lot of people having trouble with this, or should I come help or just...
There's no force of black on.
Oh, that computer probably isn't.
Well, you got your Orion.
Oh, cool. Okay, and we're in the tutorial. So in the tutorial, what we have is the whole world. And Greenfoot allows you to deal with it deals with a grid, but it can be really big grid squares or really small grid squares. So these are really big grid squares. And then this is the controls. And if you know Grid World, you've seen controls like this. Who knows Grid World? I know. You better know Grid World.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so this is how we run things. And then these are the actors that we have in our world. So we have, this is a world of wombats that eat eucalyptus leaves. Okay? So to add actors, because right now the world you have does nothing, you can right-click on an actor and say, I want a new wombat, and there's a wombat. And I can right-click and say, I want a new wombat, and there's another wombat. And I can right-click and say, I want a new leaf, and there's a leaf. Okay, that's really sort of, I'm sorry, if you're as old as me, that's pretty cool. But for y'all, you're going, yeah, but I want it to go faster. So I can shift-click, and I can just add leaves all over my little wombat world. The other thing we can do is right-click in the world. And people who set up this world had an ability to either populate the world with wombats and leaves, or add a bunch of random leaves. So if we choose populate, we're going to get, okay, it's in a non-writable directory.
What?
I don't know what's
Should
going
be on the desktop. Oh, that's because that you went to the tutorial.
Yeah, I went to the tutorial. Yeah, okay. So we can't, I can't do random leaves, so let's do 5. Alrighty. Okay, but never mind. We're going to get to Greeps faster than I planned. What I can do is I can do act, and each actor will do its thing. Leaves don't move much, but all the wombats step forward. Well, wombats get hungry, so when I do act, watch the leaves disappear. They will eat the leaves. And then they act, and this one's going to turn, this one's going to eat another leaf. And if I want them just to act and run, then I can just have wombats running around the world. Okay. So these are very big grid squares, and they're cute little wombats, and I have to be biologically true to them, so I can pause this. And let's go back annotation. Adding actors to the world, actor run, we can adjust the speed. Oh, we can look at these actors. This is the direct manipulation that Henriksen did for his thesis. So I can right click on this and I can see everything that a wombat can do. A wombat can check if it can move, it can do an act, it can see if it's found the leaf. I can say, hey, how many leaves have you eaten, little wombat? And it will tell me that execution's failed. But normally you'll be able to do this. We'll do this with our groups. Okay. And we can even come into the code, but it's by just coming out to this and clicking, and it will show us all the code for how a wombat works. And I can scroll through it, and I can come in and change wombats if I didn't have something cool like Greeps coming up. But instead, let's go on with our Greeps. Come on, start the slideshow. Okay. Doesn't have to, the grid doesn't have to be this tight, this big. The grid can be very, very small. So we have a beautiful example of ants running around leaving pheromone trails out as part of the grid world gallery. We've got a breakout game, lunar landers, which I would show you, but I am the world's worst lunar lander. And so my lunar lander always crashed. So we're going to do groups instead.
You could show them where to find those if they wanted to see them.
I don't know where to find them.
Oh, just go to the window. I think it's in up at the. I need my glasses. What's that top scenarios?
Scenarios.
And maybe open.
Oh, lunar lander.
Go ahead, do a lunar lander.
I want to do a lunar lander. I can't.
Want me to try to do a lunar lander?
Okay.
I don't know if I can do a lunar. I don't think I can do a lunar lander. Oh yeah.
So I run this, and the idea is you don't want your lunar lander to crash. So I'll reset it, and so just change the speed, run, and so you have to do. Well, I guess
really too slow.
Get it. Reset it.
I think you press the up arrow key to slow your.
Run. Come on, don't explode, don't explode.
Faster.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know how to play lunar lander.
Yeah.
Are the ants in there?
Let's see, scenario, open, and we don't have ants.
Oh, the balloon's fun.
Balloon is fun? Okay. Explain balloon twist.
I don't remember balloon.
I know it's fun.
It is fun. I just remember, I guess the balloons are, okay, how do I move them around? Oh, there it is. I can, with my mouse, you click these and you pop balloons
Until one.
but you don't want them to get off the top. So,
We also have bombs.
let's go do those bombs. So you gotta pop these before they hit the top. So I'm just clicking around. So somebody wrote that, and the Java code for this is all right there. I think you got to be faster than me. We can go find what the bomb does. Yeah, drag it over there. Let's just
So, I mean, this is the kind of game that can keep us entertained and is certainly smarter than us, but not y'all.
Now let's playing with balloon. Oh, there's a ballooner.
Yeah, but the beauty of this is that you can actually come in and you can see how everything works. You can see what the counter does. Okay, of course. You can see how the dart works. You can see how the scoreboard works. Okay. So you have, this is a great way to learn programming. This is much more interesting, I think, than dealing with bank accounts. But anyway. And so what happened is in 2007, to get Greenfoot more popular, Greeps was proposed at a national meeting of computer science educators. SIG, Special Interest Group, CSE, Computer Science Education. There were about 1,500 of us from across the world. And we were told, hey, write the code for a Greep. And about 100 of us didn't do anything for the rest of the conference. And I'm not supposed to say that, but And in fact, I did do other things, but you know, we had our notebooks, and instead of doing Facebook, we were writing Greeps. So anyway, you know, wombats, we know how wombats behave. Greeps are these little green things. And now everybody knows that what Greeps do is they land in a spaceship. And they go out and hunt for the Greeps' favorite food, which you saw, and you looked and went, what the heck are tomatoes doing as a refreshment? Where's the popcorn? And the answer is Greeps eat tomatoes, of course. So they go running around the world and they pick up tomatoes. But a Greep can't pick up a tomato by himself or herself. That, you know, tomatoes, Greeps are tiny. See how big the tomatoes are compared to the little Greeps? So a Greep will find a pile of tomatoes, but needs to have a friendly Greep come over and help it put the tomato on its back. And then it goes scurrying back. Okay, so this is what a Greep will do. So let's open the Greep scenario. Okay, and we'll talk. I guess now's a good time to pass it ahead. Scenario, open. And I want to go to the desktop where I drop my Greeps. And I want to go to the desktop where I drop my Greeps. Copy. Scenario, open. Greeps, it's not opening. Oh, there they are. They were already open. I'm sorry. Now, Greeps, of course, explore across the universe. Well, sure, of course they would. You haven't seen any recently because they've been out elsewhere in the universe. And so they're going to have a multitude of maps that they go to. Thank you. Okay, so let's just see what the basic behavior of a Greep is. We're going to have a little spaceship. Oh, I need to drop the speed a little bit. Spaceship's going to land. And then all the Greeps are going to get out, and there are piles of tomatoes. And we talked about how we could look at this. We can look at this pile of tomatoes, and I can inspect it and say, oh, there's 16 tomatoes in this pile. Come over here and I can see that there's 40 tomatoes there. And up here, I do inspect, I'll say, oh, there's 30. So the spaceship's going to land, and the Greeps are going to get out, and the whole purpose of programming a Greep is to tell it how best to look for tomatoes.
To look for tomatoes and carry them back to the spaceship.
Yes. So we'll do a run, and the Greeps all go running out of the spaceship. And they only have a limited amount of time to get back. And these are stupid Greeps. That what they do is they got out of the spaceship, they went running in their direction, and they got stuck. And now every once in a while, they don't always, when they're walking in straight lines, you'll notice sometimes they turn a little bit, but those two are going to be stuck for a good long time. And none of them found any tomatoes. So let's kick the time, speed up a little so we can see the next world. Okay, map number 1, we've got no tomatoes. We're going to go on to map number 2. Oh. And it looks a little different, and they all run out of the spaceship, and they get stuck again. But notice, oh, that one just saw tomatoes, but he didn't have a friend put one on his back, so didn't work. And then we'll go to map number 3, and that's an ugly map. And then we get a master score, so next week we're going to look at the score. And the 204 classes are going to compete, and other classes may want to compete against them. Okay, so let's talk about how we do a Greep. A Greep is a creature, and I need to increase the... How do I increase the amount of this?
Just the browser, Control Plus.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, we have comments at the top. A Greep is an alien that collects tomatoes. For 204 students, put your name here because you're going to get credit for turning this in. The rest of you argue with your teacher. Okay. what you're going to spend most of your time doing is changing the ACT method. Okay, ACT gets called one time through for each of these. So we're going to have super.act be those things that a Greep has to do, like breathe.
Let me pause and back up.
Okay.
Can you go back to the picture of the map?
Sure.
What we're talking about doing here is we just go ahead and hit reset for me.
Sure.
And when we
Start some Greeps.
when we actually ran it, the Greeps come out, and the Greeps, there's some code that tells the Greeps what to do. And that's sitting in this little box over here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can go in there and edit that and make the Greeps smarter. Because right now all they do is they come out of the spaceship at some angle and they sort of walk, not quite a straight line, but sort of like this. If they hit the water or the edge of the world, they just stop. So we want to make them smarter by putting some more code in there, saying things like, well, if I'm at the edge of the water, maybe I should turn around. Or if I'm at the edge of the world, I should probably turn around. Or if I'm at the tomato pile, I probably want to stay near the tomato pile and wait for a friend. So we want to put some logic in this file. So if you get to this page, if you double click that Greep, it'll open up the software of the Greep. And we can go put some changes in there. And we're going to walk you through putting some changes in there, then save it, recompile it, and run it again and see if the Greeps are smarter. Okay, so go ahead and see if you can get this code open.
And find the ACT method.
And find the ACT method, and we'll see where we can make the Greeps smarter.
All right, how are we doing? Okay, right now the ACT method, the super.act we leave in, that's where he breathes and draws himself and does all those other things. We don't change that. We have an if statement. This says, well, either a Greep is carrying a tomato or it's not. If it's carrying a tomato, well, gosh, happy, happy day. If I'm at my ship, I drop the tomatoes. Otherwise, I have the ability to turn toward my home, which is the ship, and move. So if I'm carrying a tomato, either I say, oh, good, I'm here, drop the tomato, or I turn toward the house, like my ship, and I move. Okay. Otherwise, the Greep just moves and then sees, is there food here? And checking to see if there's food here, we'll say, hey, if I'm at a tomato pile, then I'm going to try and put a tomato on somebody else's back. Now, if I'm standing here and I try to put a tomato on someone else's back, oh, this is going to make a mess, isn't it? You know, and I just do this. Well, then the tomato falls back in the pile, but I'm going to be my friend.
Oh, how fun is this going to be?
Isn't this going to be fun? We're going to see if he can catch this.
Oh.
You know, if I'm standing here and I say, oh, I'm in a tomato pile, let me drop this, then I've loaded the tomato on somebody else's back.
I have a tomato. I want to run back to my spaceship.
So run back to your spaceship.
So where's my spaceship? Oh, there's my spaceship.
You turn
I'm
toward
on
the
my way.
spaceship.
And I'll leave the tomato here.
Oh, thank you. It didn't drag. It's going to be a fun day. Okay. So what's the problem here? Well, there's lots of problems, because if we could solve this in the next 20 minutes, then this wouldn't be an interesting exercise. One problem we have is Greeps get stuck. You know, they move and they hit the wall and they go, okay, I'm moving, can't move, I'm moving, can't move, I'm moving, can't move. They are sort of stupid. So, I want to see what else a Greep can do. Let me just pop up. Greeps can turn. Turning might be a good idea, but I don't want to turn all the time. Okay, I can handle tomatoes, but Greeps can check their position. You have this handout, and Greeps can see what. Where do we get an extra sheet of paper? I'm not going to ask that question, am I?
That's for notes.
Oh, good. Okay. Greeps can see if I'm at the ship, if I'm at water, or if I'm at the edge of the world. So instead of moving, or before I move, maybe I want to turn first.
called over and over and over again. So if I just turn a little bit, and it's not enough, maybe next time it calls back, I'll turn a little bit more. And so you don't have to, so you can play around with it and see how much you want to turn, but how much do you want to start out turning?
If I'm at the water or I'm at the world's edge, I'm going to turn.
30 in there?
30.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay. And then what I'll do is compile, make sure this works. And if I have this happy message at the bottom, class compiled, no syntax errors, I'm good. And if you don't have the happy message, Dr. Adams can fix it for you.
Okay. I'll look at it.
We don't have to get that water.
Okay,
You need to
so
type this
She
all
typed
in.
this in.
Yes, I typed this
And
in.
once you type some stuff in here, then you got to recompile it, which is the program that makes it work on the computer. And if it says that happy message, as we call it, that
Happy message.
no compile errors, it's ready to run. If it has another message down there, we need to clean it up a little bit. So is anyone getting a happy message?
Okay. Well, after we get this to work, I can close this. And now let's see what happens to my Greeps.
Now your Greeps should turn 30 degrees when they hit the water. Or the...
Oh, that's too fast. We'll slow it down and do a reset. Okay, let's watch the spaceship come down, and then the Greeps come out one at a time. And so there's the first one, and he's going to the water, and he got stuck, but he turned. And this is a much happier world now. The Greeps are running around like crazy. Okay. Now, if you were going to think about this for the contest next week,
Ooh, look at them. They're all over the place now.
they're running. Oh, and some of them have tomatoes. Oh, but what happens is they're getting stuck now on the way back. And then these are sort of getting, if I pause, I can actually, we won't allow you to do this during the contest, but I can pull this guy out and start him on his way here. Okay, so we have the problem where the ones coming back might get stuck. Oh, there's a bunch of them stuck. Okay. I need to see how many I can get. Yeah, okay, so a bunch of them are getting stuck on the way back, but I got 5. So let's pause and let's come in and look at the code again. The problem, well, let's fix one problem where if I'm at the water on the way back. Let me copy this code. And let's put it in here too. So now what we're saying is, if I have a tomato and I'm walking home, I'm also not going to get stuck at the water's edge. Okay. So let's compile this. Compiled. I will close this, and then let's run it again. All right, so they go running out, Oh, come on, get it. Okay, and they're not getting stuck with tomatoes either. Oh, and maybe, but these are getting stuck. And then that one is still, but 9 is better than 5. Now, there's always going to be some element of randomness. So if I ran this again, I might get 8, I might get 11. Okay. So 30, not always our best. I got 11 tomatoes. 30 might be a good idea. 30 might not be a good idea. Oh, and then this one is, ooh, but at least they get out. Yeah. Problem is they're seeing tomatoes and just running by, and then these guys aren't moving at all. I don't have any tomatoes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, that's better. Instead of 0, I've now got 23. So that change surely helped us some. Instead of turning, okay, I'm trying to find the exact code. Okay. Instead of turning 30, maybe what I want to do is turn some random amount. Okay. And you should have the handout sheet. I'll give you one. Once I'm done with it. Complex for you. On the third page of the handout sheet at the bottom, we have it explains how to get a random number. There you go. Okay. So I can do, let's try get random number. And maybe I'll say, well, I want some random number between 0 and 40 as my term. So this is going to give me something between 0 and 39 inclusive. And I try to compile this, and I get the unhappy message that it doesn't know what this is. That's because we need to have Greenfoot in front of it. So Greenfoot.getRandomNumber. This is a Greenfoot utility. Make sure everything else is spelled correctly. Yes. And now when we compile, that looks good. So let's run this and see what happens. We run, it lands, and they don't always turn 30. That guy's still getting, oh, but he's not badly stuck, but this guy's still doing circles forever and ever and ever. Oh no, he isn't, he jumped off. Okay. And let's speed this up and see what kind of numbers we get. So our final was 16, maybe not quite as good. Yes, sir. Question or stretching? All right. So our final 16, that's not quite as good. It's also, you know, when we compete next week, I don't want us all to be anonymous, so let's come back out to the Greek. And down at the bottom, we have get Alder's name. You should have your name and the names of the people you work with in here. So we can see how you can take credit for your great brief. This is going to give us a number between 0 and 39. Maybe that's too small. Maybe I should try adding 20. Why? Because that's a fun number. I've got 20 fingers and toes. You know, just pick some random number, select compile, it works, we can close this, and now we can run this. And so a lot of what you'll be doing is, you know, trying things over and over, and sometimes you will try them that fast. So maybe we need a much bigger number to get this guy away. But if we look at our final score, we're up to 22 now. So we're going to run this many, many times and try different things. Okay, so that's the basics, but we say another problem. Let's reset, slow it down, and run it. Well, speed it up and run it. Is a lot of times they get to a tomato pile and they just go running past, and they don't get a tomato on its back because there's not a Greek there to load it. Dr. Allen, you know about the problem with running over tomato piles and not waiting?
Oh, the old running over tomato piles and not waiting problem.
Yeah.
No?
Well, okay, so we just had, you know, they're running over the tomato pile and they should wait when they're at the tomatoes. But we don't have them doing that. And if they wait, then maybe somebody's going to come along and drop a tomato on their back and they'll be able to move. Okay, so let's look at a way that we might be able to fix this. Okay, so let's come back out to our Greek. And if I'm carrying a tomato, I don't care. If I'm carrying a tomato, I want to go home. I'm not going to wait by any tomato pile. I got the tomato pile. I'm going home with my tomato. So if I don't have a tomato, and this is a little bit tricky, so we'll show you how to see if I'm at a tomato. Okay. We can have methods that check if there's a tomato nearby. And so, Dr. Allen, do I want to write a new method or write the code in here?
You want to write the code here.
Okay. So, what I can do is down here, I have the code that says, find the tomato pile that's the thing next to me. That's fancy Grid World code, or Greenfoot code, and the nice thing is I can just copy that line. So I'm going to actually copy these 3 lines. And I'm going to put them up here after I do my turn. Okay, and I'm going to make them line up. Oh, well, actually, that had to work. So what this says is, find the tomato pile next to me, and if it's not empty, then normally what this did was load a tomato. What I want to do now is say, if it's not empty, then I'm just not going to do anything. And otherwise, I'm going to move. So what we say is, if I'm at a tomato pile, just stop. Just stop, stop, stop. So if I'm at a tomato pile, I'm just going to stop. Let's see how this works. Again, we have to do the compile. Compiles were done. And let's run it. Reset and run. So they come out, they run at different angles, they don't get too badly stuck. Oh, this one's at a tomato pile and he has stopped. This one stopped at a tomato pile, and watch, every other one that comes close, we put a tomato on. Now these two are awfully close, and these two are close. They should be able to help each other. But they don't quite yet. You see, we've got 3 now sitting around the tomato pile. We need to get these guys home. So we need to fiddle with that. So maybe we need to have them, instead of just stopping, maybe turn real tightly and do a little circle around the pot or something. But you'll notice we've got 15 tomatoes already.
15 tomatoes?
15 tomatoes.
Anybody beat 15 tomatoes?
I got 19 on that first one. Let's see what we get total. And I didn't get any on that last one. So we're up to 38, y'all.
I've been watching.
Huh.
I haven't been watching what you're doing.
What do you want?
Are you making any,
Where did you,
Question, yes?
where do we paste the 3 lines? Can you go over and see?
Sure, this is an act. You're pretty much going to change everything in act. And so this is what my act looks like now, the whole act. That if he has a tomato, he's going home, and if he's moving toward home and gets stuck, he's turning something out. And I'm going to have to fiddle with that before I give this to my class. If I'm at the water's edge here, I only turn 30 degrees, maybe I need to fiddle with that. Then I say, hey, find the tomatoes that I'm standing next to, and if it's not empty, I'm just going to stop. Otherwise, I'm going to move. With me, Dr. Allen?
No.
Okay. Okay. But because we want to get out of here, let me talk about other things Greeps have. Greeps are sort of stupid, but they have a little. They have one variable that can have a number between 0 and 255. And they can look at what value that variable is. They have two flags, flag number 1 and flag number 2, that can be true or false. And they can see the flags, and for 204 students, we'll talk a lot more about this. They can communicate a little. And this was written for high school students. So the way Greeps communicate is by spitting paint. So, they can spit red or orange or purple paint. And then they can see if they see paint. So something we might do to our Greep, when it's carrying a tomato, this would be a good thing to communicate. It's like, I'm coming home with a tomato. Y'all may want to look behind me and see the path, sort of like an anti-Hansel and Gretel. It's like, I'm running out of the forest. I'll drop things as I go. And if you want to find the Wicked Witch's house, you'll just turn around and follow my path. So we could say, let's spit red, because red for tomatoes. And this will make a path. So we compile, close, reset, and run this. And notice, let's slow it down. As they spit red, we're getting paths to and from that. Now, the other group should know, hey, I'm seeing a path. Let's go turn that way and find the tomatoes. And these are going to stay stuck forever.
Is that your teacher back there?
Not forever. We'll find another way. So spitting doesn't help us much, but maybe we can make it help us. Okay, so we have spitting, we have variables. Your challenge by next Friday is to create a Greep that can harvest the most tomatoes. To make it interesting, we're going to give you 10 worlds. You see 3 of them. I'm going to come up with 7 fun ones. There'll be prizes. They will be bad.
I don't want a bad prize. I want a good prize.
You shouldn't advertise like that. That sounds like
Yeah, I know, but
marketing.
then it's too serious.
So we're going to bring good prizes next week.
Okay. Yes, find Dr. Allen next week for
Because
good
I'm in
prizes.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Okay. So you can only change the Greek class. Don't try and change tomatoes so they go hopping toward the spaceship. You can't have more memory. Okay. And now we have that little 1 byte of memory, but you can't have any more. Greeks are not stupid. You can only act once per round, or you can only move once per round. You can't call other Greeks and say, hey, there's tomatoes here, come here. You're not allowed to scan the whole world looking for tomatoes. Greeks have these ugly big eyes, they're almost blind. You can't create other objects, so you can't create little Greek canoes, Dr. Allen.
Those are life jackets.
He created life jackets.
Wait, go back.
Yes?
Go back to that one. Is paint an object then?
Paint's built in.
Yeah.
Paint is built in, but you can't make more paint and paint
Can't make
around
different
you.
paint. Okay.
You have to spit 1 paint per turn. Sorry. You can't teleport.
Just like jump across the pond.
And the Dr. Allen rule. You may not swim. His Greeks, he put on life jackets and swam across the
I got a lot of tomatoes that way. I hit the water's edge, I put on a life jacket and went straight across. And it worked. I got lots of tomatoes.
Can you paint water? Can you paint on the water too?
I don't know. Anyway, so next Friday, tomato paste snacks, bad prizes, and then this is wrong. So let me correct this. This is cool. I find this. the Greek.
Greek.java file.
Yes, let me show you where that is. Okay. Tutorial if you want to really get into this. If you come into Greeps, there is a Greep.java file here, and you'll notice it was last dated today at 10:40, updated at 10:45 today. This is all you need to send to us.
Attach that to the email.
Yep. So next week, more Greeps.
Make sure your name's in it when you send it.
And my class is going to be Dr. Evans.
My class is going to be Dr. White's.
Mr. Cameron, are you involved in this?
I hope my class beats y'all both.
This is a real spitting
Lots
contest,
on y'all.
isn't it?
Real spit.
So we'll see you all then.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.